Should I talk about like some of the questions people are asking me?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good time. Alright, welcome in, guys. Megan said you could hear us talking, my bad. More like her bad. But, you guys are here. First day of games in the books. How we feeling? I feel like a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions, maybe some answers to those questions, but let's get into it. If you're new here, we go over fantasy advice, news updates, everything like that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So yeah, if you're new, welcome. Drop your questions. We'll be answering them throughout the stream. But let's get into some fantasy feedback, okay? This is, put our fantasy hats on, not WNBA right now. That'll be our main video. So let's get into it. New York versus Washington takeaways, Meg. Remember, fantasy perspective right now, right? We had talked about Kayla Thornton on Monday's live. They moved away from Kayla Thornton. And that was pretty apparent. She played 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to be talking about Kayla anymore. Alrighty? Unless something happens, an injury down the road, maybe. It looks like New York's 6th player is going to be I'm so sorry, Leonie
Fibich. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
I probably butchered that, but hey, and Kennedy Burke. She had a pretty good showing, 6 points, 2 rebounds. But New York likes to keep it with the starters anyways, so I'm not surprised. It was already going to be hard to find someone for New York. But New York, you had a little scare there, but we'll talk about that later. John Quayle, Meg, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. I mean, she's looking good. I'll refer back to one of our podcasts. I told you guys, like, I really didn't want to draft her because last year she was pretty frustrating to watch, but this year, I mean, she looked good. It was a great game one. I just hope that she can be consistent throughout the year and stay healthy. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
I agree. She looked very good. Also, I hope my audio is good today. I know we had issues in the last live, so hopefully it's working well. If not, let me know so I can try and fix it. I feel like Washington came out really tough, tougher than people expected. I think Stephanie Dolson is fitting in nice. Shakira Austin coming back from injury looked really good. Really good. I'm happy because I drafted her in our family league. So, I'm excited about that. Ariel Atkins looked really good. Last year she was like hit and miss. But for fantasy purposes, she did look pretty well. I mean, pretty good. Any other takeaways for Washington for fantasy perspective?
No, I mean, honestly, game one, it was exciting. I thought all the games, I saw some great things. A lot of people were putting up great fantasy points. So if you looked at your at your fantasy team and you saw high points, I mean, that was a great way to kick it off. So
definitely. Okay, let's go over Indiana versus Connecticut takeaways. I'm just going to say it now. Fantasy-wise, if you thought, like we already said, Caitlyn Clark. Let's just talk about Caitlyn Clark. Don't panic on Caitlyn Clark. She had a great day fantasy-wise, and that's what we need. That's why we're here. Fantasy women's basketball, right? Don't panic on her. It'll work out. It's going to be fine. Connecticut is notorious for a tough defense. Everyone knows that. So we knew she was going to have a little bit of a hard time. But she still produced fantasy-wise. I think like 32 points or something like that. So that's what we're looking for. We don't care about her turnovers. That's irrelevant right now. So don't panic on Caitlyn Clark if you were. The one to panic on, Lexie Hull. Her role diminished. No longer talking about Lexie Hull.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
I don't
know. Last year she got playing minutes. She was always in the starting rotation here and there. But yeah, that was interesting. I wonder what happened there.
You know what happened? Grace Berger happened. She had 20 minutes. Good for Grace Berger. We talk highly about Grace Berger. We really like her as a player.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on her. She's probably, and also with Kelsey Mitchell coming back, she's not starting right now because going to be on limit restriction. But the dynamics will continue to change when she gets back. So Indiana's also going to be kind of a gray area. Other than that, Connecticut, man, solid. They're solid. Brianna Jones going to be on a minute restriction. We already knew that. Let her dust some cobwebs off. I told you guys last stream, don't have high expectations. It's going to take her some time.
Yeah.
I feel like Shakira was the expectation everyone has when people come back from injury. Like, they want them to pop off right then. But in reality, like, let's be real. It's going to take players a couple games to get in their groove and stuff like that.
Right.
Any takeaways from Connecticut?
I mean, their defense, it was like they didn't skip a beat.
No.
They picked up right where they left off from last year. I mean, Dejanay Carrington came out with the clamps.
Yes.
She was like, oh, no, I can't have no rookie coming out here having a crazy first game on me. She made sure to put the turnovers on her. But
Yeah, she had a good fantasy day too. Ty Harris had a good fantasy day. Another player.
A lot of people stepped up to score for them. I mean, we thought initially they might struggle offensively because they lost, Heidman. They lost Tiffany Hayes. So we wondered, how the offense was going to pick up. But no, they look good.
Exactly. We talked about Ty Harris. We had her as our top waiver wire pickup, or one of the top waiver wire pickups. So she's still there. You got to grab her. And Banham didn't do that bad either.
And she got quite a bit of minutes too.
She did.
Yeah.
Okay, Minnesota versus Seattle. Don't panic on Seattle. I mean, it's their first game together as a team, as an official super team. Give them some time to gel. Their fantasy-wise, their players did good anyways, so don't worry about that. Skylar Diggins kind of took a back seat more than I thought she would, but again, it's her first game back from, taking a season off. Give her some time. The one that surprised me for Minnesota, Alana Smith. We loved her last year for Chicago. I just didn't know how she was going to fit in with Minnesota. But she did great. Whoever drafted her.
She had like 42 fantasy points or something, 45.
Yeah. Something crazy. Yeah. So, and Jordan Horston. The difference that I want to talk about with Jordan Horston versus Sammy Whitcomb, Jordan Horston's hunting for her shots. Go get her shots. Sammy Whitcomb, more of a facilitator. She looked way more of a facilitator than I thought she was going to look, So,
well, and Jordan Horston has the height, so she can kind of bang in there, grab some rebounds, get some putbacks, a little bit different. Sammy, she killed it last year because she could shoot the three. So it's going to be about them finding ways to get her open. But like you said, don't panic on Seattle. They're a new team. They got good new players that they're trying to incorporate, figure out how they can get everyone enough touches to get their points. So they'll figure it out for sure.
Yep, exactly. Okay, over to last game, Las Vegas versus Phoenix.
Sheesh.
Asia Wilson, baby.
Woo!
I was trying to tell you guys, it's going to be her MVP season.
Dominant.
Just dominant. Obviously, the Aces look good in the first half, and then they decided to take a little break. I think partially...
But hold on. Wait. Before we go into that horrible second quarter, can we just first point out, Asia literally had, like, all the points for the whole first quarter. It was, like, 20 points in the first quarter to the rest of her team having, like, 5.
Exactly.
So I just want to point that out. That is a lot. And if she can be consistent like that, oh my gosh, she's gonna run away with the MVP title.
I'm telling you.
So sorry, just had to throw that out there real quick. But yeah, they can't fall off like they did in that second quarter though. But
yeah. I mean, a little bit has to do with Gray. When Chelsea Gray gets back, it'll be better.
Yeah.
Well oiled. But
it looks like they're gonna be going into their bench a little more. So, I mean, the second quarter, that's when, a lot more of the bench is playing. So they're still probably trying to work out the best rotations and things. So I think eventually Becky's going to find her rotation and figure it out, and it'll be better.
Yeah. Alicia Clark, obviously with Gray out, she's going to be the starter. So definitely a must pick up. I will say, even though she is a starter, sometimes she's hot, sometimes she's cold. Like, I would still expect that. I wouldn't expect anything crazy. She did have a good fantasy outing, though, this last game. With Griner out, this is my take about Phoenix. They're going to live and die by that 3, baby. And that's what kept them in the game. Rebecca Allen is now a must pick up. She's going to start over Sophie Cunningham. She looked good. Rebecca Allen did look good. So, I'm not surprised there. And I know last live we talked about maybe there's a potential center for a replacement for Griner. No, stay away. Pick someone else up. If you absolutely have to and there's no one there, just go with the starter Natasha Mack. But don't expect anything.
I would try to do better. I would stay away.
Yeah, I'm just fine.
I would start,
anyone.
I don't know if you're religious, whatever you got to do, talk to some gods, talk to someone, because you just need a hope that Griner can come back, because there's no other hope there. So.
Yeah, no. Okay, I just wanted to highlight some top performers fantasy-wise. So we had Asia Wilson at 56 fantasy points, Alyssa Thomas 42, Jonquel Jones 41, Alana Smith 45, and Jackie Young 48. I felt like a quiet 48 though when we were watching it.
She's always her points are always quiet.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so what we're here for: Thursday's games, Thursday's waiver wire pickups, and let me tell you, Megan and I tried. It's slim pickings out there, but we came up with a list. Don't worry, we are here for you. So,
it's only one game, guys, so it's everyone's hard. Roster. It's gonna look slim.
Yeah.
I know we had a question in some of our fantasy chat about, Is it normal that, only one game plays and you only have one or two people playing for that day? It will be normal. So it's always good to kind of look at your whole week to kind of see where you can plug in, where you can make your lineup full to get the most points, because it's the total points for the whole week for fantasy.
Yeah.
So there's going to be days where you only have a couple players, but you got to hope that the days that you have a full roster, they can put up a lot of points, things like that. So that's where the strategy comes into play. Like, are you going to be risky and drop players and use the waiver wire? It all just depends on how you want to play it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's go through the waiver wire pickups. Indiana versus New York. We're going to be Indiana heavy here, because New York, it ain't it. So we're gonna ride with Katie Lou one more time, okay? She has one more game for us. She gets the minutes, 26 minutes, okay? She only scored 11 fantasy points, I know, but with the minutes, the usage, likely there's high. What am I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? There's a higher chance that she's gonna have more fantasy points than the next. Three we're going to talk about.
She's out of everyone we're going to list here, she's probably going to be the most aggressive to try to score, and she can shoot the three, so and she gets the minutes. So we have to go with her again.
Yeah. Number 2, we have Erica Wheeler. She's only number 2 because Kelsey Mitchell, we don't know when Kelsey Mitchell's going to fully be back. So we're still kind of hesitant, but Erica Wheeler will still get minutes. She had 19 minutes, 14 fantasy points, which is solid. That's a solid outing from someone you're going to be picking up off the waiver wire, right? And this next one, Grace Berger. Now, Grace Berger, I think, at the end of the season, is probably going to be someone you keep on your roster. Like, with her minutes projection going up, she played 20 minutes. I know she only got 10 fantasy points, but, let her play some games. She didn't play a lot of games last season. So when Indiana starts getting it together, I think Grace Berger by the end of the season will probably be fantasy relevant.
I can see it.
And last one, Christy Wallace. So another solid 17 minutes, 13 fantasy points. At least all these people are in double digits. It's not like 3 points, 2 points, yada yada. But all these options will be better than any of New York's options off the bench. New York likes to play their starters a lot. Indiana has more of a rotation. You'll probably get more out of these players. But like we said, it's slim. You have to get to it quicker than your opponent if you need the player.
Right.
Some takeaways, though, some important things to note. Like we said, Lexie Hull didn't play. Just go ahead and ignore her. And Kayla Thornton. So we're over them for now, unless a major injury happens or something happens. Yeah, good luck on Thursday. I don't have anyone on Thursday right now, but I'm trying to win day by day.
Yeah, I want to point out something real quick, too, because I know that we have a lot of new people to fantasy. So sometimes we forget that. So definitely ask the questions in the chat if we don't go over something. But I do want to point out something about waiver wires. So waiver wires, there's going to be times where it's going to be yellowed out and you have to claim it. So it won't be green and it's not going to be a first come, first serve. It's going to be yellowed out. That way, especially if someone was just dropped, so that way it gives everyone a chance to try to claim that person. But the way the waiver wire works is that we all have a ranking of where we're ranked. So if we all are trying to go for Christy Wallace and we all put a waiver claim in, it's going to be whoever's the highest ranked on that claim. And you can go into your fantasy settings to see that. And maybe we'll post this somewhere of how to reach it or something like that. But you'll go in there and you'll see. And then so after that person is able to claim, they'll move to the bottom of the list. And it rotates. So that way everyone has a fair chance to be number one to claim a person. So just keep that in mind. So if you're wondering, well, I claimed that person and they didn't show up on my roster, that's why, because there's a claiming rank system.
Yeah.
Hopefully that made sense. If not, we'll maybe do something to touch on it more.
Yeah, just keep sending us questions if you guys have questions throughout the week. I am working on a Discord. I did put a message out on YouTube. I am working on a Discord, so questions will be more, accessible. So, yeah. Questions and answers, will be more accessible because you guys can help each other out with answering things.
Right.
So, yeah. Oh, sorry. I looked at the chat. Jaylen Brown got benched to start the second half. Who ended up starting for her? If you don't mind me asking. We don't have the game up right now. But yeah, so send your questions. Discord's coming hopefully by next Monday when we drop our overview of week 1. But let's get into Friday's waiver wires. So Washington Mystics versus Connecticut and Seattle Storm versus Minnesota. We have a couple good options. I believe after Ty Harris went off last night, everyone in our leagues picked her up. So Ty Harris probably isn't there, but if she's there in your fantasy group, pick her up. I wouldn't always expect her to, make those many threes, but there's a potential. She's playing 28 minutes. Again, the playing time is there. Stephanie Soares. Oh, they went big. They went big second half. Okay. Number 2, Jordan Horston. That girl looks good. She came back her second season looking really well. I was kind of hesitant on anyone on Seattle just because I wanted to know their rotation. But I think them themselves are still trying to figure that out. But it's going to look like Jordan Horston is going to probably be the most impactful player off the bench for Seattle right now. Stephanie Dolson surprised me. Okay, Stephanie Dolson definitely surprised me. She played 27 minutes, 21 fantasy points. I don't know if that has anything to do with Shakira Austin. I know they both started together, so probably not. So yeah, if she's there, pick her up.
You know what I noticed watching that game is she's turning into a leadership voice, right? She was very vocal. So I saw that, and I saw people responding well to her. So it seems like it's a good fit for Stephanie. So I know in my league, I think I picked her up because I see good potential in her. Yeah. I think she's going to get a lot of minutes and be able to impact.
And she hits the three. She's one of those bigs that hits threes, which is important. Shoot, yep. That's very important. Rachel Banham is still on our list. 24 minutes. That's solid minutes right there. 16 fantasy points. That's the kind of a solid waiver wire pickup you want right there. Connecticut moving forward. Who's to say that Tiffany Mitchell, off the bench? I can see her and Tiffany Mitchell going back and forth with having good games. But Banham hits the three more consistently, so I would lean Banham as well. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next we had Bridget Carlton, 26 minutes for Minnesota. I was actually very surprised. I want to see if she can continue those numbers because she was really up and down last season. So she would be next. And then to round it off,
I would keep an eye on her just because, I think they're a team that's still trying to figure out their rotation, guys. So just be caution of that. That yes, Bridget Carlton got a lot of play time, but also a couple people weren't really hitting on Minnesota to start early, and she came in and was hitting. So just keep an eye on that because I do predict that their roster rotation is gonna change quite a bit.
Yeah. Also, when Dorka comes back, I want to kind of see what's going to happen be a big with impact. Minnesota. Yeah, it's going to be kind of weird. And to round it off, Mercedes Russell's on here. She's going to come off the bench, obviously, but 10 fantasy points. She has opportunities to get rebounds, little putback layups. Something's better than nothing, right? And we basically pick these players, like I said, less than 50% rostered. Also, we go through each of our waiver wires in our 5 leagues that we're all in, and then we kind of try and see who's there and not. But if you're questioning someone to pick up, always just DM us in the fantasy group or just DM us wherever you guys message us at. But there is a question, Meg. The waiver wire is purely to drop someone in order to pick up another player. In other words, like y'all said, you can't get attached because the athlete you let go may not be available to get back.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, being strategic and using the waiver wire can be good and bad. It's good because it helps you to fill up your roster for that day to get the maximum points. So it might help you for that week. But long term, you might not be able to get that player back because someone else uses the waiver wire to grab them while you didn't need them. So you do have to keep that in mind. So you're playing the day-to-day game, but you're also still considering the long-term game of, I'll probably need this player next week, different things like that. So there's a lot of strategy that comes into play. Yeah. And there's some other stuff I wanted to talk about. So also going back to the whole dropping and using the waiver wire, I don't think we mentioned this, but this is super important, that ESPN Fantasy, unless they changed it, which I don't think they did, you are not able to make any moves after the first game of the day has started. Mm-hmm. So definitely keep that in mind. So for instance, today we have the Dallas game that's going on right now, but then we have a later game with the Sparks in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So say someone's injured and you just realize like, oh, they're not going to be playing in the for LA. They're hurt all of a sudden and they got ruled out. Mm-hmm. Well, it's too late because a game is already going on. It's too late to go to the waiver wire to try to pick someone up for this late game. Mm-hmm. I know that's frustrating because in other fantasy, like football and all those other things, that's not how it works. Yeah. But that's how it does for WNBA. So keep that in mind. You got to make your moves early in the day. Yeah. It sucks because I know that the injuries, you sometimes can't account for that. They don't let you know until like a half hour before the game whether or not they're going to play or not. Yeah. But if they're on your roster, you can move them around on your roster even if the first game's played. But to go to the waiver wire, you can't. Once the games start for that day, the waiver wire locks. Mm-hmm. You can pick up someone, but they're not going to technically hit your, even though it says green and you can add it, it'll go to your team, but it'll go to your team for the next day. Mm-hmm. So I want to throw that disclaimer out there because I know that was frustrating for people last year.
Yeah, especially on the weekend games because there'll be like a 9 o'clock game and then there'll be like a 6 o'clock game. So like,
right.
Make sure you're.
So it's important maybe to kind of look at your roster for the next day, the night before. Yeah. Once the games start, as long as the game has already started, you can actually go to the waiver wire and drop that player to prepare for the next day, and it won't affect your roster or them getting you the points for that day. Yeah. So just some insight on that. So I know if there were some people that like Ty Harris, and I saw that they did wait to the end of the game, but technically they could have picked her up mid-game and she would pop up on their roster for the next day. So if they have that green availability button, that means that no one's ever claimed her, then she's available. You can go pick her up. But if someone's previously has claimed her and dropped her, they're going to hit the waiver wire and you have to put a claim in to get her. Yeah. So that way it's fair and lets everyone try to claim her.
And when we talk about dropping players, you're not dropping your good players. You're dropping like those like in between kind of players. Like for example, someone said they're gonna drop Onion Wary for Burger. Perfect example. Go ahead, drop her. I'm also gonna be dropping her for someone tomorrow. But yeah, that's literally who you drop. You're not dropping Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson, Shakira Austin. You're not dropping anyone.
Because those players, you got to know, like, they're going to get you good points probably every game, right? So that's not really worth risking.
Yeah, exactly.
But down later in the season when, you know, you're in playoffs and all that, then you can debate that kind of stuff. But early on, those kind of players where you know are consistently going to get you points, you're not going to mess with. Because you drop that player, you got to believe that a lot of people are going to be coming after that player. Yeah. To have on their team. So you might never see that player again.
Exactly. Anyways, do you guys have any more questions? Drop them below. Like I said, we'll do a little recap. I'm going to be dropping a Discord so you guys can ask any fantasy questions or anything like that. Like I said, we're going live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. So next video, we'll go over the weekend games. Saturday and Sunday's games. But in the meantime, thank you guys. We appreciate it. We love doing the lives. We love answering your guys' questions. And we'll be back Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Let us know if you have any questions. Good luck. I'm not doing really well in our family league right now. It's not looking good, okay? So I hope you guys are doing better than I am. And good luck today, tomorrow, and the rest of the day. Oh, wait, we got one question. Weekly over-under on points? I don't know. That would probably be a Megan thing. I feel like Megan would be able to do that, but that's hard. That'd be hard. Are you talking about fantasy points? Or are you talking about regular points? Or are we talking about fantasy or are we talking about betting? These are the questions we need answered before we can proceed. Wouldn't you think that'd be hard, Megan?
Yeah. I mean, I can throw some out there. I
I think that would be really hard.
Yeah.
Sleeper trade targets as the week goes on. Okay. I'll add that to the next one because I want to
So
see
that
some
we
games.
can do pretty. We could do
He
that.
said betting.
But yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
that
you
would
can
be a
message
good
me
Megan
offline.
one. What?
I would say message me offline. I got my own opinions on it. So
The betting one is Megan thing. So yeah, DM Megan. Sleeper trade targets though. Yeah, I want to see some people play before I had my opinions on them. But I feel like next week we'll have some trade targets. Honestly. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Message us if you have any questions. We'll be back Friday, 6 p.m. Thank you guys.
Mm-hmm.